How's it going, peeps? It is now time for the Raw results slash highlights and review video. I'll go over the results, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts, my review on the show. So it kicks off with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon making their way down the ring, and then they talk about the Rumble last night, what happened, and at some point the crowd starts chanting yes, yes, yes. At which point Triple H decided to mess with the crowd and say, oh, you didn't get what you wanted. And eventually, you have Daniel Bryan interrupting them. And he jokingly tells the crowd, oh, don't chant yes. You know, they don't like it when you chant yes. Don't chant Daniel Bryan. They don't like it. You don't want to make the authority mad. And then he talks about the Rumble yesterday, his match against Bray Wyatt, and how, you know, people are saying it was a great match. And even Triple H says, oh, it was a great little effort. And then Daniel Bryan says, but when it comes to what people thought was the biggest disappointment in the Rumble pay-per-view was the fact that he wasn't in the Royal Rumble match. And he says that he's asked them multiple times, knocked on their door, asking them to be in the Rumble, but they told him no. And then Triple H, Stephanie, they say they didn't want Daniel Bryan to compete more than once in one night, so he doesn't get hurt because they're looking out for his well-being. And then Daniel Bryan says, oh really, you know, how many times did you make me face off against all three members of the Shield and all three members of the Wyatt family? How many times did I compete, you know, multiple times in one night on an episode of Raw? And then Triple H says something like, oh, exactly, that's why we didn't want to put you through it again. But eventually, what this leads to is Daniel Bryan tells them he wants to be in the Elimination Chamber match, because earlier they announced that Randy will be defending the championship inside the Elimination Chamber at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And then Bryan tells Stephanie McMahon to step aside and tells Triple H that he won't be leaving this ring until he gets what he wants. And then he faces off with Triple H, or goes face-to-face with Triple H. Triple H tells him that sounds good and all, but from the sounds of it, it's not just me and you in this ring. We've got some company. And then I was expecting the Shield's music to hit like immediately or something, but there was like a 5-second delay there, or 10-second delay, something like that. So the Shield's music hits, and here's the funny part. Shield comes out, and Daniel Bryan grabs a steel chair before they get out of the crowd area and arrive at ringside. So he grabs the steel chair, goes back in the ring, and then when the Shields go over the barricade, Dean Ambrose goes over the barricade, Roman Reigns goes over the barricade, and then all of a sudden I hear like I could have sworn I heard like some sort of sound like boom, or something like that, so some sort of sound. And I look over where the Shield is supposed to go over the barricade, and I see Seth Rollins on the floor, so he fell trying to, you know, go over the barricade, and you see part of the barricade, I guess the protection of the barricade, kind of taken off. It was the side of the barricade where Brock Lesnar kind of, you know, speared Mark Henry a couple weeks back, so that was pretty funny. And then they surround the ring, get inside the ring. Despite Daniel Bryan having a steel chair, the numbers game is too much, and they take pretty much the steel chair away from him, beat him down. Then Sheamus' music hits. He comes running down the ring to help Bryan. Still, it's 3-on-2. So then John Cena's music hits, and he comes down the ring. And eventually, they just throw all three members of the Shield out of the ring. And after that, they announced that later on they would have a 6-man tag team match. It would be the Shield versus Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, and John Cena in a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. So how this would work is the winning team would have all three members of the team enter the Elimination Chamber. And after that, there was a tag team match, Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio versus the Real Americans. And at some point in the match, he actually had Zeb Coulter slap Jack Swagger, kind of, I guess, slap some sense into him, or, you know, make him focus more. But anyways, towards the end of the match, the two legal men were Sin Cara and Antonio Cesaro. Rey Mysterio hits a 619 on Antonio Cesaro. He then followed that up by jumping on the outside onto Jack Swagger, but like a few moments afterwards, Jack Swagger shoved him towards the barricade, and Sin Cara, in the meanwhile, went for the Swanton on Antonio Cesaro, but Antonio Cesaro got out of the way, and then Sin Cara tried another move, like a springboard move, but Cesaro caught him with an uppercut, followed that up with the neutralizer, and won the match. I was happy when I saw the neutralizer. We haven't seen that in a while. We just haven't, it feels like we haven't seen the Real Americans pick up a victory in a while too. So happy about that victory. After that, Bad News Barrett was there to deliver some bad news, saying that later on, The Miz and Dolph Ziggler will face off in a battle for, or actually not for, I mean Battle of Cleveland. And then he says, thankfully it's not a battle for Cleveland, because then we'd see 2 losers, because Cleveland is full of losers. And that was pretty much it for his bad news. And then after that, it was Fandango versus R-Truth. And R-Truth ends up winning by hitting the little Jimmy. Xavier Woods was on commentary, and he did point out how he wasn't in the Rumble, and how somebody probably stole his number. And also, Mo from NXT was also in the crowd with her sign, and the camera showed her. Afterwards, you had Brad Maddox introduce Randy, so he comes out, and he talks about the match last night, where he says, you know, people are talking about how he won the match, but he doesn't care how he won. Bottom line is, he won. Anyways, a few moments later, Batista's music hits. He comes out, and he tells Randy, like I said, you know, I had 3 goals when I returned. One was win the Rumble, headline WrestleMania, and win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He says 2 down, 1 to go, and he doesn't care who's the champion come time for WrestleMania, whether it's Randy, whether it's John Cena, whether it's Shield. And then he looks at the crowd and says, even if it's Daniel Bryan. And the crowd was booing Batista. They're booing both Randy and Batista. And then, I was gonna say Batista, but I mean Brock Lesnar comes out. Brock Lesnar's music hits, and he comes down the ring with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman tells Brad Maddox that Brock's patience is wearing thin, and that tonight he's got one of 2 options to make history. Either he makes a matchup between Brock Lesnar and Randy for the title, or Brock versus the so-called #1 contender Batista tonight. So the choice is up to Brad Maddox, or actually he tells Brad Maddox to tell the Authority that, and that was pretty much it for that. I was pretty happy about this segment where actually, I was happy when Brock interrupted it, and you know, Paul Heyman gave that choice to Brad Maddox. Anyways, following that was actually the Battle of Cleveland match, which was Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. One cool spot in the match, you had The Miz going for an axe handle from the top rope, or from the top turnbuckle, but Ziggler caught him with a super kick, but The Miz kicked out. In the end, though, Dolph Ziggler hits the zigzag, covers The Miz, and wins the match. After that, it was Ryback Axel versus the Usos. And when it comes to this match, I really like the ending. Actually, when it comes to every single one of the Usos tag team matches, I think I like all their endings. I don't know, for some reason, whenever the Usos compete in a tag team match, the way the tag team match ends, it's always in a cool fashion. So anyways, Ryback gets one of them up for the shell shock. And while he's doing that, as always, he kind of like turns around or walks around with them. While he's doing that, the other Uso tags himself in by touching the other Uso who's on Ryback's shoulder, but Ryback doesn't see that. So he gets inside the ring, super kicks Ryback, while Ryback still has the other Uso on his shoulder. And the reason why I'm saying the other Uso, because I still can't figure out which one's Jay, which one's Jimmy. And then once the other one gets off Ryback's shoulders, he also super kicks Ryback, so Ryback finally gets taken down, or falls down. And then the other Uso, I know I keep saying the other Uso, but, you know, what can I do here? The other Uso runs towards the outside and jumps on top of Curtis Axel. And then the other Uso, Jay or Jimmy, I don't know, one of them, I'm going to try and figure it out. He climbs up the top turnbuckle and hits the splash on Ryback for the 3 count. And after the match, they dance, and that's it. The Usos beat Ryback. Kofi Kingston then took on Del Rio, and during this match, the crowd was chanting. At first, they started chanting JBL, JBL, and JBL stood up. And once he stood up, the crowd went even crazier and popped just for JBL standing up. And then they start chanting for Jerry the King Lawler. And he also stands up, and once again, they go even crazier and pop for that too. And I think right after, they started chanting Michael Cole. And when they were actually, just before they said that, I think, JBL said, if they start chanting Michael Cole, I'm out of here. And right after, I think they start chanting Michael Cole, and then they went to a commercial break. And they went to commercial a bunch of times during this match. But anyways, the end of the match, well, actually before the end of the match, Kofi actually hit a SOS, but Del Rio got his foot on the rope. And in the end, Del Rio was going on the top turnbuckle, and Kofi tried to stop him, but Del Rio kind of took him off the top, and Kofi was kind of hanging, or had his legs hanging on the second rope. And he was like upside down, so Del Rio then hits him or does a top rope stomp on Kofi, and then follows that up with the super kick, pins him, and wins. And crowd really didn't care about this match. Crowd was just chanting, you know, everything else. They even chanted Y2J. At some point, they chanted Undertaker or Taker. And then it was time for Cody and Goldust tag team title rematch. Yeah, it was actually on Raw. So it was Cody and Goldust versus the new champs, New Age Outlaws. Of course, New Age Outlaws, you know, do their intro first. And then the matchup, actually, there was no winner. Or actually, there was a winner. It was actually Cody and Goldust, but by disqualification because Brock Lesnar came down the ramp. And when the New Age Outlaws saw that, they got out the way. They left. And Brock got in the ring, quickly hit an F5 on Cody, and then hit another F5 on Goldust. Paul Heyman then on the microphone says that the Authority chose neither option A or option B, or option 1 or option 2. Instead, they chose option 3, which was Brock Lesnar versus no one. And when Brock Lesnar doesn't get what he wants, this is what happens. And then Brock Lesnar gets a chair, and he hits Cody and Goldust with the chair a couple times, kind of like he did to the Big Show yesterday. And then there was an 8-diva tag team match. It was the Funkadactyls and the Bella Twins versus AJ Lee, Tamina, Oksana, and Alicia Fox. At the end of the match, Cameron and the Bella Twins delivered a triple suplex to all the other divas on the other team, except for AJ, so that left only AJ and Naomi. And Naomi beat AJ with the rear view, so and the Funkadactyls and the Bella Twins win the match, and Naomi gets another non-title victory over AJ. So she's probably gonna get a title match, I don't know, either at the Elimination Chamber or maybe one of the Raws before the Chamber pay-per-view. Then after that match, they actually showed another inductee into the 2014 Hall of Fame, and it was... try and guess who it was, or maybe you guys saw it. Anyways, it was Jake the Snake Roberts. So that's pretty damn cool. You've got the Ultimate Warrior and Jake the Snake this year. So, good start to the Hall of Fame. Following that was the 6-man tag team match, main event to qualify for the Elimination Chamber. Sheamus, John Cena, and Daniel Bryan versus The Shield. And this was a great tag team match. Should be no surprise, really. Every single one of The Shield's 6-man tag team matches always end up being great. Anyways, the end exchange. The exchange at the end with Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins was freaking amazing. It was awesome. Bunch of counters, one after the other. And Daniel Bryan tagged in Cena. Cena got in, and I think at that point, Reigns, or Seth Rollins, tagged in Roman Reigns. So it was Cena and Reigns. Cena goes for the attitude adjustment on Reigns, but Reigns gets out of it. Cena, though, gets Reigns in the STF, but Reigns powers out of it, and he grabs Cena's arms and takes them off. And then right when he does that, the lights go out, or actually the Wyatt signals off or whatever. And you know the Wyatt family's coming. So then when the lights come back on, the Wyatt family is all of a sudden in the ring, and they're attacking John Cena. So Bryan and Sheamus get back in the ring. They help John Cena out, and they all throw the Wyatt family members out of the ring. And then Bryan, Sheamus, and Cena all celebrate while the Wyatt family awkwardly look on from the stage. So, that was... oh yeah, and the Shield was raging on the outside of the ring, you know, grabbing the announcer's table, right, not the actual announcer's table, but, you know, the top, throwing that around and everything. So, that was it for Raw. What did I think of it? Highlights, the 6-man tag team match at the end there. Also, Brock Lesnar interfering, or actually interrupting the promo segment between Batista and Randy. That was cool. I was actually not expecting Brock Lesnar, so that was cool when he came out. And also, when he took down Cody Rhodes and Goldust, gave them both an F5, and then beat them down with a steel chair. I'm hoping Brock continues to do that until he gets a title match. Continues to beat people up. until he gets maybe inside the Elimination Chamber, something like that. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. And also, with that DQ victory at the end there, they still qualified for the Elimination Chamber. So, right now, the Elimination Chamber looks like this. You've got Randy, you've got Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, and John Cena. So there's 2 more spots left. I'm thinking Brock is going to take up one of those spots, and then somebody else is going to take the other spot. Or actually, you know what, when I think about it, Brock might not take that spot. I might see him in another match at the Elimination Chamber. So, I don't know, we'll see about that. And also another highlight is Jake the Snake Roberts, you know, in the Hall of Fame. So, pretty cool so far with the Ultimate Warrior and Jake the Snake in the 2014 Hall of Fame. So if I were to give a rating for tonight's show, I would give it probably around the same rating maybe as last night's Rumble pay-per-view. So I'd say like a 6.5 on 10. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, as always, you can click that like button down below. I'd really appreciate it. And with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.